I've been fortunate enough to attend all 11 galas in some capacity, and I consistently leave excited about what I learned. I feel comfortable that you will do the same this evening. I would like to thank you for being here, and I hope that your support of the Wilkes County Hall of Fame will continue well beyond this evening. Each year, I'm proud to share that every penny raised from this event is used to benefit the students of Wilkes County schools, and that's probably the most important thing I'll say tonight. Grants, thank you. Grants awarded to teachers earlier this year brought the total to over $180,000 given to our school, $180,000 given to our schools by the Wilkes County Hall of Fame since its inception. Now that it's in its second decade, I'm excited to see how this amount will continue to grow. When an organization has a strong foundation, it succeeds through change. Mr. Larry Stone Jr. had served as our Master of Ceremonies for our previous 10 galas. And following last year's event, he shared that he felt it was time for us to find the next man up to fill this role. We didn't have to look very far to find the person, and after meeting him, I feel comfortable you will understand why he was selected. Tonight's Master of Ceremonies is a nationally recognized trainer, speaker, and consultant who has worked with over 150,000 youth, adults, administrators, professionals, and policymakers over the past 15 years. He runs a customized consulting and facilitation practice called Leading to Change based in Charlotte, North Carolina, that works with organizations to achieve progressive and dynamic change. For the past 18 years, he has partnered with Wilkes County Schools to design and facilitate the Wilkes County T3LC Youth Philanthropy Program, which has engaged more than 4,000 students in learning how to pay it forward in their communities. Additionally, for the past 17 years, he has worked with the Wilkes Chamber of Commerce to design and facilitate the UTA program and help to facilitate the Wilkes Vision 2020 community-wide strategic planning process. He has served as the Director of Leadership at Rutgers University, managed his own touring educational theater program, directed an international youth summer abroad program, and spent 5 years in Los Angeles as a substance abuse prevention coordinator. He has served on the faculty of UNC Charlotte, Rutgers University, and is also a proud father of 2 daughters. Rather than talking about him, let me just get out of the way and let you meet him. So please join me in welcoming a friend of Wilkes County Schools, Mr. Eric Rolls.
Good evening. Good evening. This is a wonderful evening. This is a celebration of service. This is a celebration of legacies, and you are with some amazing people here in an environment that reminds us it's not about us. It's about a bigger mission. And I am so very, very honored to be part of that environment with you. My name is Eric Rolls, and thank you very, very much, Mr. Bird, for the kind introduction. I am honored to be able to be here, standing on the shoulders of great heroes and sheroes that laid the groundwork for you and I to not only celebrate service and celebrate legacy, but also enjoy a wonderful meal with the people at our table. As a matter of fact, these are the people at your table, and tonight we're going to get a chance to be able to honor what's happening on stage, but we'll also get a chance to be able to hear a little bit more from your table. So I'm going to ask, if I would please, just repeat after me. Say table. Table. Say table. Table. I'm glad you're at my table. I'm getting a little hungry. And that's all right, because we're going to be having some dinner in just a little bit. But before we do this, though, I'm going to be able to share with you that there's some important people that are at your table. And so this is a great opportunity right now. If you would, look at your table. Say table. Table. It's about time to choose our champion. And I'm going to ask right now, would you please right now choose one person at your table to be your champion tonight? Go ahead and point to them right now. Who's your champion? Who's the champion at your table? All right. If you have been chosen to be the champion, please stand and rise, if you would, please. A round of applause for our champion. A round of applause. Now, before they sit down, here's what I would share with you. Tonight, we're going to have a celebration of service, and you have a champion of service at your table, because at any point tonight, if you need a refill on drinks, or perhaps an extra dessert, and you don't want to be the one that goes and get there, your champion will now be at your service. A round of applause for your champion. A round of applause. Once again, my name is Eric. I run a training agency called Leading to Change. It is an honor for us to be able to do this work. I believe that there is a quote I want to be able to start off with tonight, and that is, "Service is the rent that we pay to live here on earth." Service is the rent that we pay to live here on earth. And for the last 20 years, it has been our ability to be able to provide service to our colleagues here in Wilkes and beyond. And so tonight I will be your MC. I'll get a chance to be able to bring in some incredible speakers and some heroes and sheroes of our community for you to be able to not only hear their story, but also see their impact. There's also some members of our Wilkes County Hall of Fame alumni that are in attendance. And I'm going to ask, if you are one of our alumni of the Wilkes County Hall of Fame, would you please rise now, please? Can we please our alumni? And how about a round of applause for our alumni? Here we are on the 11th anniversary of this celebration. There's a legacy, and you can see the pictures in the hallway and, of course, in the display case. There are so many people that make this possible, and I'm going to ask for the Wilkes County Hall of Fame to be part of this, and I'm going to ask if they would to stand at their seats so you can see who's part of not only the coordination but the design of this evening. And we're going to be able to start, and if you would like, feel free to be able to applaud after each one. Our president, Ms. Shana Williams. Our vice president, Revis Phelps. Our secretary, Betsy Whittington. And our treasurer, Kevin Sheets. Those are our officers. I'm going to list the rest of the names of our Hall of Fame members, of our Hall of Fame design team, and then we'll get a chance to be able to give an applause at the very end. But I will ask for you to be able to please stand. Bill Harris, would you please stand? Christy Perry, Connie McNeil, Superintendent Mark Bird, David Johnson, Deanna Parsons, Evan Handy, Ian Adams, Laura Elmore, Morgan Mathis, Phil Stevens, Randall Parsons, Sharon Oxford, Stacy Neese, and Susan Cogdill. A round of applause for our friends that are standing, please. Tonight is a part in a culmination of not only celebration of service, but the reminding that we are part of something bigger. And I'm going to ask Vice President Revis Phelps to come to the stage to present plaques to our outgoing board members to thank them for their service. And so would you please welcome to the stage, please. Round of applause.
Good evening. It is so wonderful to see so many smiling faces. This room is full. I'm so excited about the inductees this evening, so thank you for joining us. I'd like to take a few moments and for you guys to join me in recognizing a couple of our board members who have, if you don't know, this is a longer board term than most, and these guys have served diligently, faithfully, have been at every meeting, helped to really drive the mission and the service of this, and is such a large part of this organization, and they are going to be greatly missed in this coming year. So first, I'd like to recognize Ms. Jana Williams. She has served with us since 2017, and she has been our president for the past 3 years as well. So we are going to greatly miss Shana. I think we want to get a picture of this. Thank you, Shana. And then next, I would like to recognize Bill Harris. Has he joined us from Will Call yet? Okay. He's still at Will Call? Okay. Okay, so everybody knows Bill. If you're in attendance here tonight, you know Bill. Again, a backbone of this organization, has served, again, faithfully, diligently since 2017. We'll try to get a picture of him later with his plaque. But just so you guys know, we do have one up here for him. And with that, we'll get on about our evening and the rest of the festivities. Thank you.
An evening that has a lot of support and a lot of sponsorship and really happens with not only the design but a community-wide support. I would like to be able to take a quick moment before we begin and move to our invocation, but I would like to be able to invite and ask for our event sponsor, North Wilkesboro Speedway. There is a table of so many of our colleagues. If you are here with North Wilkesboro Speedway, would you please stand? A round of applause for our event sponsors tonight. Thank you so very, very, very much. None of this is possible without the design of All Included. We're going to be able to begin dinner in just a little bit, but first I'm going to be able to ask for our Wilkes County Hall of Fame board member, Randall Parsons, to come to the stage to give our invocation. After that, I'll give directions about our meal. Please, Randall Parsons.
All right, would you pray with me, please? Father, we thank you for the blessing of another day. We praise you for the opportunity to meet and gather in this place. We thank you for the lives and the legacies of those we'll celebrate tonight. And we praise you for this food and pray you bless it to nourish our bodies. In Christ's name, amen.
Would you please put your hands together for our caterers tonight, the Scarlet Hen. Scarlet Hen, of course, thank you for the wonderful nourishment as well. Of course, also, none of this is possible. Again, if it's about something bigger, let's honor service as well. We also had some of our service members in dim lighting too, by the way. Quite interesting. I want to be able to also acknowledge, before we continue with our program, there is a tireless team of professionals that every single day here in Stone Center, the staff that make from the production in front to the napkins that are folded that you are at, they are the silent heroes and sheroes that make these events possible. Would you please, a round of applause for our Stone Center staff. We are going to be able to continue with our program tonight. We're going to be able to start by really remembering about what this is all about. Again, as a part of this community for the last 20 years, I have seen the impact of what giving looks like. And when you are no longer looking at paying it back, but sometimes paying it forward. And there's a paying forward element that's tied in and integral to the DNA of not only our students, but also our educators and our forefathers and our foremothers and everywhere in between. Tonight we talk about this event. And the mission of the Wilkes County Hall of Fame is to recognize some of those citizens that have made invaluable contributions to Wilkes County. And we share the message to not only young people, but also to all of us that we too can strive for excellence in any kind of endeavor that we choose to be a part of. So in many ways, we are paying it forward by being here and honoring, but we also get a chance to be able to model what we've heard and what we see. By presenting significant and powerful role models, the Hall of Fame is a source of learning, inspiration, and hope for generations of our Wilkes residents to come. And each year, the Hall of Fame inducts a new class of honorees from diverse backgrounds, including arts and entertainment, enterprise, sports, and leadership. And this year is without a doubt no exception. You're going to be able to hear and see the impact of all sectors of this incredible community. These individuals are celebrated to their exemplary character and lasting contributions in the county. And I want to speak to just the character piece. There's a long line of things that we could talk about for each one of these inductees. But that's not what has brought them to here tonight. It's about what they did that's outside of the resume, outside of the accomplishments. And you're going to be able to hear and see from how this exemplifies on a day-to-day basis. Each year, the Hall of Fame also holds the James Cook Leadership Breakfast. Now, this is a pretty powerful event. And if you've been to the James Cook Leadership Breakfast, show me hands. Anybody been to there? You know how powerful the event is. It's an annual event held here in November, and it brings together student leaders from Wilkes County middle and high schools to engage at a table just like yours with Hall of Fame inductees who share insights and inspiration. It's been my honor to be able to facilitate that and to be able to see firsthand at that table that you're at right now when young people get a chance to not only listen and learn, but also share their insights with our Hall of Fame members who know we continue to grow, we continue to be open. There is a fostering that occurs between both generations of leadership and service. Now, the Hall of Fame provides also financial support through grants to Wilkes County schools. And every one of us in this room are, without a doubt, somehow impacted by what happens here in the education system in Wilkes County. I have the honor of traveling across the state and working with actually all of our counties in North Carolina. And I've visited and worked with school systems across the state. I will share this publicly and I will say this out loud. And I've said this before. In the last 20 years, there is not another school system, public school system in the state of North Carolina that I believe personally rivals what happens here in Wilkes County. I will say once again out loud, I won't share that with anywhere else here. As someone who sees the entire state picture, what we do here is unrivaled, it is powerful, it is transformative, and if you are somehow tied into the education system, would we please give them a round of applause? That doesn't happen automatically. As a matter of fact, all the money that's raised at the Gala each year, this event, goes towards enhancing instruction and extracurricular activities that happen in our school systems. As a matter of fact, this year, this event has raised a record amount of resources, of funds for Wilkes County schools, $32,000. That's amazing. Round of applause. Absolutely so. Fantastic. So largest to record. And it's actually 32,000 with an asterisk because that doesn't stop right now. As a matter of fact, there's donation cards. See what we did there? There's donation cards and a QR code on the tables where you can increase that. And so we encourage you to do that. If this is a place where you would like to be able to pay it forward, to date, over $182,000 has been raised by this event, by this gala, for our Wilkes County schools. As a matter of fact, we want to show you what this looks like. And so in a quick moment, we're going to be able to go to a video, and you're going to be able to watch what happens when highlights from some of these grants go to Wilkes County. And I want to be able to acknowledge that our friends at River Street have been integral into not only capturing, but also producing the video. And so let's get a chance to be able to see what paying it forward looks like in real time. Please.
For my Hall of Fame grant, I used it for mosaics. It was called Outer Space Mosaic Art Project. Mosaics are a really fun way to create an image using tiles. One of the North Carolina standards is learning about outer space. And so I figured I could apply that to the art classroom. And so using their knowledge of outer space, they were able to create an image. Obviously, as a first-year teacher, I'm learning a lot. I had to find very creative ways to use those supplies and make it fun and interactive. And I feel like with the Hall of Fame grant, I was able to expand on those resources and do something out of the box that is usually out of the scope of what students typically get to do in an art classroom. So I'm really grateful for that.
Pretty sure I titled it Mean Girls the Musical. This was actually North Wilkes High School's first ever musical production. We do dinner theater, so that's similar, but this was like a full show beginning to end. There's a storyline with a script. It's a musical set in high school, so I thought a lot of them could relate to a lot of it. Getting them out of their comfort zone was a challenge because some of them have never acted before. So they're like, I have to say this and act this way. It's like, yeah, but it's okay, we're all doing it. Grants, like the Wilkes County Hall of Fame grant, they make it so that we can give our students opportunities that they may not see somewhere else. For these students to be able to experience something bigger than the norm. And that's important, not just educationally, but also being able to like really reach their potential or even go beyond what they thought they could do.
You can see we have a brand new track facility with 6 new lanes and the ability to host meets. We were excited about putting some hurdles together that would give us enough to run a meet. We were a few short, so we just needed about 8 or 10. We might run a track meet with 3 lanes of hurdles instead of 4 or 5, which you can do, but it's not as top-notch as it should be. So that's what we decided, to ask for some hurdles. If we had to raise that money for the hurdles ourselves, it would have had to come from somewhere else and taken money from somewhere else. So it's huge that the Hall of Fame supplements across our sports program and then across the teaching program also. It takes maybe 20 minutes to half hour of actual sit-down time to fill this out. That half hour of investment is well worth it. So I think what this program does is kind of helps take teachers and athletic programs kind of that next level where we can take a step up with the extra money that is kind of on top of what we raise on our own. The athletes know where it comes from and are very excited to use the products that we get.
How about a round of applause for the video that's put together? So River Street Networks, they are without a doubt also integral to the sea and the view that you have here, but also behind here tonight. I want to be able to acknowledge some of our team that are here, including in the very, very back. That's Drew, who actually put some of the videos you're about to be able to see together. Let's all wave to Drew. Say hi, Drew. Drew, you had no idea you're going to be part of the program here tonight. You were very, very comfortable in the very back there. But Drew, thank you. You are very part of the magic that happens here tonight. And that's what we're going to be able to do. We're going to be able to begin this. We have a number of inductees, and what we're going to do is we're going to be able to acknowledge each one of them. You're going to hear a little bit about them, and then you're going to be able to see a video that was put together by our friends at River Street Networks. And then we'll get a chance to be able to honor them and allow them to perhaps share with us a little bit more of the insight and the impact that they've had. And I'm excited to be able to kind of share with you that we're going to be able to begin with really our first one. And I want you to be able to think about this as we go in. And you're going to be able to see some quotes that are going to come up on the screen in a little bit here. It's going to be a way to be able to kind of set the context for what we have here. And so, Drew, we'll start with our first one. And our first quote that we'll get a chance to be able to see begins here. And I want you to be able to kind of take a look, because each one of these might have something to do with the story, with the powerful legacy. Okay, so Robert Frost, different than here, said, 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. 2 roads. But what happens when a road has not been traveled upon yet? Someone needs a trailblazer. Hasn't been even journeyed upon. And that's whom we first celebrate this evening. Wilkes County would not look like, operate, thrive as it does without the vision and the tenacity of Dr. Franklin Shepard. From the initial surveying of what is now 421 to the restoration of mail routes throughout the entire county. From 30 years as superintendent to the countless lives that he impacted through scholarships and a lifetime of service, to Wilkes and beyond. Tonight, we honor the life and legacy of the Lion King of the Blue Ridge and our first Hall of Fame inductee, Dr. Franklin Shepard. Accepting for Dr. Franklin Shepard, would you please welcome to the front Miss Sharon Oxford. And Sharon, we're going to be able to want to get a picture with you right here, of course, with our president there. I'll send you right to there. This is the celebrity moment, the paparazzi moment as it is here, looking fantastic. And would you please welcome Miss Sharon Oxford.
Hello. I'm just delighted to be here to represent Dr. Franklin Shepard. Let me say something. He was not a doctor, but in 1869, when he was born, often children were named Doctor. And so this is what they named him, Dr. Franklin Shepard. I'm going to give you a point of reference here because this is a long time ago, and he died in 1960. Wilkes County became a county around 1848. We were a county. North Wilkesboro was incorporated March the 4th, 1891. North Wilkesboro was seen as our commerce because it was going to have a railroad, and then Wilkesboro was going to be the governance place, and that's why we have the original county courthouse there, because it was going to be the place for, and now it's the Heritage Museum. Well, Doc completed 7 years of formal schooling with each school year, and the school years were only 3 months. So at age 14, he had completed his whole education. This was the terminal in 1885. His job was to work with his father, and he was to pick apples and grow vegetables, because this is what they did here. But he wanted more. So he was very intelligent, and he read all the time. He walked 269 miles to the coal mines in West Virginia to earn some money. He earned enough money to buy a farm of 275 acres. By 1897, this is when he bought it. He had also started developing his own sawmill business. He bought his own sawmill equipment, and he employed at that time 14 men. He was having a prosperous farm. Interesting, taxes on his farm in 1900 on 275 acres was $12.53. So the headlines in 1898 were, "We need roads." And I researched him through our newspapers, and I can give a real shout out to our public library because they helped me. And from 1885 to 1960, when he passed away, there were over 100 articles of things he was doing for the community, not to mention all the other articles where he was visiting on Sunday afternoons with the neighbors. And the newspapers, if you'll go research, if you have an ancestor and you would like to nominate them, it's just fascinating to read. They tell everything. They had fights in the neighborhoods. They had to call out for help. So anyway, 1898, we need roads, and that was the headline in the newspapers. We did have a group of county commissioners, and they knew Doc Shepard had trained to become a surveyor. It's a mystery how he became trained to do everything he did, but he did. And I don't know if he went back and forth to Raleigh. I don't know where he went. That's still a mystery, but he was trained. They literally said, "We want you to survey our new highway, Boone Trail." It was to go from North Wilkesboro to Boone. At this time, there was nothing there at all. There was a path. And he started in 1907 and finished it in 1920. It was just gravel. Now, at the time when he was doing this, he had to get appeasement, which means if I lived on the side of that road, I had to agree to take care of it. So if it flooded out, we had a pothole, it was my responsibility to keep it up. And if not, I would be charged. So he had to get all the people all the way from North Wilkesboro to agree to do this. So now, it's 1920. He's supervising the road, running a large farm, has his own sawmill, has employees of many men, and he's also a country lawyer. He conducts court. He was superintendent of his church, master of the Masonic Lodge, And life was booming with success for 49-year-old Dr. Franklin Shepard and his wife, Lou Feeney, a triplet. But sadly, his only son was preparing to attend NC State College, and the horrible flu epidemic came and took him. As devastated as he was, Doc had the question of faith in his soul, and he believed when terrible things happen, something of good will come if you will work hard enough. And I had heard him say this as a child. So upon completion of the original Boone Trail, which he got complete, the same group of county commissioners came to him and said, will you supervise this for another 10 years? So he did. And in 1925, during this time, he and Mrs. Shepard provided a home for a lovely little 3-year-old girl that needed a home. So that fulfilled some needs they had. Well, big things are beginning to happen across the state. And we have a Governor McLean who wants to appoint school board members all over the state of North Carolina. And he was looking for men that believed in education and had the grit, and I will tell you that, grit to face the public. Doc was appointed to serve on the Board of Education and repeatedly appointed by 8 more governors until he chose on his own to retire at age 82. When he was first appointed in 1929, there were 120 schools in this county. He knew that these one-room wonders had to be consolidated to provide quality education. His goal of 4 high schools, which was his dream, became to fruition in 1955. But when he resigned in 1952, it was already on the boards to happen. Doc was an initial investor and founding director of the North Wilkesboro Bank that became Northwestern Bank, First Union, and today Wells Fargo. He had served as president of the Red Cross during both World Wars. He bought Bibles for all the soldiers from Wilkes County that went to World War I, and he provided scholarships for numerous students. He especially wanted women to have an education. And when you think about when he was born, that really makes me smile. In fact, there was a young woman in Peleer in 1927 that qualified and wanted to go to Duke University and could not. And she came to him and asked him to help her, and he did send her to Duke University. And one of his proudest moments was when she came to pay him back. Well, here we go with the biggest controversy in this county in 1952 and 53. The Postmaster General, Summerall, decided expenses had to be cut. So after looking around the United States, and I'm not kidding you, he's looked around the entire United States, he decided the mountains of North Carolina was the chosen location to cut out our post offices. He stated Wilkes County citizens were really semi-pioneers, and we wouldn't know the difference. He also indicated maybe we just were educated to know the difference and probably would not contest the changes. He had not met Dr. Franklin Shepard. His proposal was to get rid of all rural post offices and possibly leave only 1 in the county, maybe 2. Word spread fast. Doc was called on to lead the fight. The organizational meeting had 500 people show up at our now Heritage Museum, which was the county courthouse. Doc was elected unanimously as the leader. He organized 50 people to caravan to Washington, D.C. As assistant, he did take an assistant because remember he was 82 years old and his hearing was not what it should have been. He took Wilkes County Register of Deeds, Garley Foster, so he could hear everything. And Garley was going to tell him everything that was going on so Doc would not miss out on one thing. Standing proud and tall in the halls of Congress, Dr. Shepard presented his case. The case was closed, and today we have these post offices. Finally, 1953, Doc is ready to retire to his farm and enjoy the fruits of his labor. The little girl they took into his home in 1925 provided him with 2 grandchildren that he doted on until his death in 1960. He died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 90, a good and faithful servant and a life well lived. Thank you.
Once again, let's hear from Sharon Oxford, please, once again. To be able to bring that to visual here, we wanted to be able to share with you the video that really encapsulates some of those highlights that Sharon had shared with us. So we're going to be able to go to this tribute video to, of course, our first inductee. Drew, if you would, please.
Doc was born right after the Civil War. He grew up through World War I, World War II, the Great Depression. In the 1950s, when I got to know him, it was very obvious that Doc had a vision and was helping people.
In the South, after the Civil War, when life was bleak, when he came along in 1869, there was nothing. As you can imagine, no electricity, no roads, no Burger King, no anything. But he did not give up. He went to work, his ability to work, see the need, and to have a vision for what it could be. Like he talked about community colleges before they even exist. So I think he's a visionary.
He is my great uncle, and we just called him Uncle Doc. He was a big community leader. He always seen that neighbors had something to eat. He would always ask, how you was doing, or if there's anything he could do to help you. He was a helping person. They was little old one-room schools all over the mountains, and he was really a big instigator in consolidation. I think education would have been his number one priority.
Served 27 years on the Board of Education, and it went from short school years to longer school years, instrumental in consolidating the high schools, the 4 high schools. That legacy lives today. He was one of those rare individuals that if you are around him, he's going to do something to help you in a positive manner.
Well, I thought of him as the Lion King of the Blue Ridge, because he was a very assertive, determined kind of person. He just was into things that needed doing.
I guess he was one of the great influences in my life. One summer, he hired me and my sister, my older sister, to pick the tobacco worms off of the plants. They were long green worms with a horn on the back, and he said, "Golly, they won't bite you, but they'd strike at you." He said, "Just pick them up by the middle of the back and drop them in he'd give us a little can with kerosene oil in it." And my sister wouldn't, so he gave her a clothespin to pick them up with.
Helped to promote the highway. They actually had to get out and work the highway. Didn't have any equipment much. It wasn't paved. He's been gone since December the 12th, 1960, but I carry him in my heart, in my mind, and I'm just so thankful that I got to be with him.
Wilkes County shaped him, or it might be the other way around. He shaped Wilkes County. It's not what you take from it, but what you give back to it. And that's what Doc was doing. Sent a young man to med school so to have a doctor in the community. Surveying 421 to Boone. He kept the mail route. In Wilkes County, can you imagine having to drive from the Maple Springs community on the old road to go get your mail for the day? He was a hard worker, and he was driven. He's a visionary person. Wilkes County is a much better place today because of Dr. Shepherd.
And we actually have a chance to be able to kind of increase our vision for just a quick moment here. We're going to be able to ask, if we could, for our colleague in the very back here, we're going to turn the lights on just in the room for just a quick moment here to be able to bring those up, if you would, please. Because as we get ready for our second of our inductees, I have a question for you and at your table. And so, quite simple, the question is this. The question I have for you is, a lot can be learned from a first job. A lot can be learned from a first job. Now, whether it's paid or not, I'll leave it up to you. I'm curious, what was that job? What was your first job? Now, you have something very special at your table. They're the champions. Where's the champions? Where's the champions? Where's the champions? Now, champions, once again, make sure I see the champions. With great responsibility comes great power. Comes great what? And so what that means is, champions, we're going to spend about maybe 90 seconds at your table to be able to find out what was the first job, but for the rest of the evening, champions, you don't have to do any work at all. Instead, you get to voluntold who you would like to be able to ask or to answer that question. What will happen is, champions, you choose at your table the one person you'd like to be able to hear from. What was their first job, and what did you learn from it? A conversation at your table. Champions, you're in charge, and you get to choose. Now, this is where people try not to make eye contact with you right now, because they don't want you to pick them, and that's okay, because you know who you're going to be able to hear from. Champions, On the count of 3, would you please pick your person? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Who's that going to be? Let's go. What was your first job? You've got 90 seconds. Go for it. Come on. Thirty seconds left, 30 seconds. And as we finish, how about a round of applause, our table, please, a round of applause. And we can bring our house lights back down again if we would like here as well. I asked that, of course, as Drew brings our next kind of like our still slide to there as well. I asked what your first job was because for our next inductee, lessons in service and ethics were formed bagging and delivering groceries while attending North Wilkesboro High School. The bags eventually became boxes and bigger when he went to work for Lowe's Hardware, and then for the next 34 years became the fabric of service as Lowe's expanded from 6 to 386 stores. A private servant, never to be in the spotlight, to the greater support of the region, Dwight Pardue has truly left this legacy in true name and inheritance to the greater Wilkes community. I share this quote: "A legacy of heroes is the memory of a great name and the inheritance of a great example." From scholarships to greenways, from healthcare to our county school system, we honor tonight the life and the legacy of his ability to go the extra mile and give the extra smile. We start with a video of Dwight E. Pardue Sr.
I would describe Dwight as passionate. Through his generosity with Wilkes Community College, we have naming opportunities all over campus if you come to campus that he supported. Our Pardue Library is named in honor of he and Ann. And I think that made him very proud because it was a way for him to give back as well as leaving a legacy to the students at Wilkes Community College.
Dwight joined the board of the Health Foundation in 2005. He served on its board until his passing in 2013. Dwight was a brilliant businessman. He approached his work with the Health Foundation with both an acute sense of what could work, but also with a huge heart. He was incredibly caring about our community. He would recognize a need in the community and then do what it took to make sure that that happened. The Ruby Purdue Blackburn Adult Daycare Center was named for his sister. Regardless of the project we were looking at, he was always the first to be in. And he was all in.
He had had a successful career with Lowe's companies, but he was out on his own when I met him. He had had all these accomplishments, which was fascinating to talk to him about. He'd tell you the stories of Lowe's, but he would also be watching the market in his office. It was always fun to go in, and he'd always want to give me tidbits. He was a wonderful mentor to me, like personally, always asking, "How are you doing? How can I help you?" I wish I could describe him in one word, but one word is hard to describe him because he was unique, eccentric, his passion for education, his passion for people. But I think it's because his family and he and Ann had built a life here.
Although a tough and business-oriented leader, he treated people with kindness and respect. In the early 80s, Dwight encouraged me to leave a store manager position in Greensboro and come to work for him at Lowe's General Office in North Wilkesboro. This move started my residence in Wilkes County, which continues to this day. Upon his passing, it was difficult for me to mourn, as one seemingly should, for I felt so grateful for having known him in the first place.
When I think about Dwight, I think about just how nurturing and maybe that's the wrong word for a high-powered businessman, but he cared about people. He wanted to bring out the best in people. He went the extra mile, he went the extra smile, and so we all did too. Dwight always had to look at what was needed in the community as well as what was feasible. And so that heart and that head combined to make really good decisions for programs that are still here today serving the community. I miss him terribly, and this community should be incredibly grateful for all he did. We have only touched on it.
Accepting the award, would you please welcome Mr. Richard Pardue. As we are approaching the stage, I love that we had a chance to speak about our first job. It comes a long way. Smiles and paparazzi. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Pardue.
I'm going to try to stumble through this without making a fool out of myself. I want to thank the Wilkes Hall of Fame, the selection committee, for the honor of selecting my father into the Hall of Fame. If he was still alive, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want to go along with this because he did not like being in the spotlight. My father was a child of the Depression. He learned early on the value of hard work and the joy of people over material things. Dwight was genuinely optimistic, generous, and a good-hearted man, but he could be a ruthless businessman. He had the knack to look past people's faults and see the good that they possessed and took a chance on them. Wilkes County meant so much to my father. He could have lived anywhere in the country, but always called Wilkes home. And after retirement, he worked tirelessly to improve Wilkes County for its residents, and he never wanted to be in the limelight or be recognized for his contributions. He enjoyed bringing family and friends together, left behind a legacy of loyalty, hard work, friendship, and joy, and continues to be missed by all who had the privilege of knowing him. Thank you.
Legacy that continues, service that continues. And as we bring our next slide up to here and our next visual, I want to be able to give a different kind of quote for you to be able to think of. And I'd like to be able to think about this. Write what should not be forgotten. There's another quote I want to share with you. It's not even on the screen here, but I want you to be able to think about this. It's very simple. It's one sentence. Keep an open mind. It's the only way that new things can get in. Keep an open mind. It's the only way that new things can get in. And sometimes we need to be reminded of this. We need to be reminded, whether it's in a song or maybe sermon or maybe the written word. Our next inductee provided the Wilkes community with this challenge to be objective, to be fair, to be transparent, and to be open to new ideas. For nearly 50 years, he served as the editor of the Wilkes Journal-Patriot, covering the highlights of the region and at times the low times, reminding us that we might be down but not out. Bestowed with the highest honor of service in North Carolina, the Long Leaf Pine Award from Governor Jim Hunt, along with a long list of accolades. We honor the legacy of the printed word, and more so, the selfless service of Mr. Dwight Vance Nichols.
I'd say there's very few people in the 50s that did not know Dwight Nichols. You couldn't help but see him when he walked in the crowd, had a corncob pipe, and he did it every 3 seconds. Didn't have a stranger. He talked to anybody and everybody. He was a great friend.
He was a warm and engaging kind of person, enjoyed people, kind of thrived on that. Mostly what I know is what my father told me. He was the editor of our newspaper. We started working there in 1929. My grandfather was looking for someone, a writer, late 20s, and he spoke to an English teacher at Wilkesboro High School, and she recommended Dwight, that he was a good student. And then in the early 30s, I guess it was 1932, the Wilkes Journal bought the Wilkes Patriot and became the Journal Patriot. And at that point, Dwight became the editor of the paper.
Uncle Dwight was always looked on by the family as we were really proud of what he was doing. And of course, we always got the newspaper where he worked, and he worked there for years. And so we've always had that family pride that we had that connection to the recording the history of the area. He told about seeing the first car in Wilkes County, and that was a big deal back then. You can imagine how big a deal that would be if you'd never seen him before. My dad was born in 1904 and Dwight in 1907, and the first airplane flew in 1903, so you might say he went from the horse and buggy to the moon, during that period. Some really fantastic things happened. I was sheriff in 1974, and Dwight was in my office a great deal, wrote up all the cases. It was a great job. And he knew a great deal about Wilkes County and the history of Wilkes. And being dedicated to his job as he's dedicated to the people of Wilkes County.
He won several North Carolina Press Association awards for his editorials, known well for an editorial that he wrote after the 1940 flood, titled Wilkes Down But Not Out. People didn't have as many information sources at that time. You couldn't just go on the internet, and you had to talk to people. You had to go to places. I think he was perceived as representing the county well and being of the county, that kind of thing.
He had a real inquisitive mind. He loved history, and I think he came along at the right time in history. I don't think there's any time in the history of the world that man saw that much change that quick. He wanted to record all that, and he would report the news and let you decide. He wouldn't try to sway you one way or the other. He'd just report the facts, and he was known as a very fair person. It just makes me proud that history was recorded by my uncle. He respected you. That's one of the things. He didn't try to stand out in the crowd, didn't boast about himself or anything. He just a common country boy.
And accepting the award for Dwight Nichols, would you please welcome to the stage Miss Nan Van Hoy. Round of applause, please. As Nan is walking to the stage, have you noticed the similarity of our inductees' service? Sometimes not always in the spotlight. Today, we get a chance to put our well-earned members into the spotlight. And so, as we do this, we're going to be able to hear a little bit more about Dwight. Once again, Nan Van Hoy, please.
It's with a great deal of pride in my father that I accept this on his behalf. As was said before, if my dad were still with us, this would have been a really hard sell. He wouldn't have let me do it. He was not one to appreciate accolades or to himself be in the limelight. But my dad did not hesitate to shine a light on the people and the causes of Wilkes County that he thought would help it grow and prosper. I really believe that Dad was influenced as a young boy to go into the newspaper business, which he was in for 50 years. But he told us a story, which you can hear on digital NC. It's a recording of his interview where his dad, the Nichols family, had one of the few newspapers in the area. And in the evening, when his dad got the newspaper, he would take it out on the porch and start reading aloud. And community members would come just to hear the news and to see what was going on in the world and just to get that connection. My dad was young at the time, but I think that really influenced him to see how important news was to people and how it really helped them to be able to make good decisions if they knew what was going on. My dad understood the difference between fact and fiction, and he didn't try to pass one off as the other. He was, all the accounts that you read from his contemporaries and reading his newspaper articles were that he presented information to inform people and then let them make their decision. He let people know what the possibilities were, but he helped garner support for so many things, like pushing the bond through for Wilkes Community College and starting Kerscott and the first YMCA in Wilkes, the consolidation of the 8 high schools, really small ones, into 4. And he was supportive of these efforts, and Dr. Thompson, Howard Thompson, mentioned in one of the newspaper articles that he didn't know quite how Dad swayed people, but he did. And that they were really glad that he did because he was a powerful force to garner support for things. My dad loved his family. He loved his church. He loved his Westerns. That was either in print or on screen. Even got to see a few ghost towns out in the West. He loved the Blue Ridge Parkway. And some of his work is still evident on the Parkway because he wrote articles about the families up there, and some of those articles are quoted in the signage and the pamphlets and things that they have on the Parkway. He was an avid gardener. That was his hobby. So at 5, when he got off work, the suit and tie came off, the overalls went on, and he stayed in the garden until darkness ran him in. But he was good at that too. Along with his brother, my Uncle Ted, they actually won awards for their hybrid of sweet white corn that was considered to be one of the favorites in the state. They won 8 different first place in North Carolina, and then entered it in the Chicago Grain Fair of all places, and it won there. There's an article over here in the display from the Journal Patriot in which my dad is noted to be, quote, a man of quiet competence. I think that's very apt. I think that really describes my dad. I wish he had gotten to write his memoirs, but he didn't. That would have been a really interesting read because he could tell some good stories. But on behalf of his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, and nephews, we thank the Hall of Fame Board for including my dad and honoring him in the class of 2025.
How wonderful is it that we have written record of not only our inductees, but you also have, of course, displays all over. There is an opportunity for us to be able to collect that. There's an opportunity for us to be able to share that. There's an opportunity once more at your table. So we're going to turn those lights right back on again. Again, this is how this works. It's going right back to you. Champion, how's your table doing, Champion? Give me a thumbs up. Are they doing good? Yeah, absolutely. Inspired by that as well, too. As a matter of fact, let's hear this here. I'm going to be able to ask, if you went to school at any time at all in your past in Wilkes County, show me hands. Show me hands. Look at the product of this. All right, we're going to keep your hand up here. If you went to school at any time, anywhere, put your hand up as well, too. Just want to be able to make sure you know. All right, so you all qualify for this one here. Now, I've got a question for you. There's something called a superlative. And a superlative is what happens at the end of the school year, especially for seniors when they graduate. Now, I'm not going to ask what year you graduated. You can leave that if you would like to be able to share that. You don't have to share that out loud. But I'm curious, what would have been your superlative your senior year? What would the award been, whether it was bestowed on you or you bestowed on yourself? Were you the most flirtatious? Were you the most academic? Were you maybe the most athletic? Were you maybe the most absent? I don't know. Kind of like, what was your superlative? But chosen ones are champions. Where's our champions at? Champions in the room? Champions, we're going to take another 90 seconds at your table to hear from somebody about, well, what would have been their superlative? They can choose if they want to tell you what school they went to. They can choose what year to graduate if they want to. But the one question is, what would have been your superlative your senior year? Now, champions, you've actually already picked somebody who talked last time. So here's your chance to be able to pick someone who's just dying to tell you when they were a senior in high school, what that would have been. For some of us, that was like 2 years ago. So I'm going to turn that back over to you. Champions, you've got 90 seconds ready. 1, 2, 3, champions. Who goes? Superlative. What's your superlative? Thirty seconds. And as we close that conversation, how about a round of applause for your table, please? A round of applause for your table. We will not, River Street did not do your high school video to be able to show the fashion that you had back in high school, so we don't have to worry about that. But as we get a chance to be able to bring our lights back down again, I want to talk to you about actually your next inductee was actually from West Wilkes. Do I have any West Wilkes people in the room? West Wilkes? It might have been early on in the evening. We didn't hear this. I'm going to let them have another opportunity. Do we have any West Wilkes people in the room? That's what I thought. I knew that really, really well as well. 1956, this person was given not one, but 2 superlatives. Overachiever. Wittiest and friendliest. It makes sense. Without a doubt, this leader was able to tap into his natural strengths to eventually create a lifetime of service to the Wilkes community. When we seek to discover the best in others, we somehow bring out the best in ourselves. Viral, contagious, without a doubt. This leader has created a mark. It's impossible to travel the region and not see a result of his legacy. From county government to Wilkes County School Resources, from the United Way to the ABC, from Wilkes Community College to Rotary, to Wilkes General Hospital, to Millers Creek Methodist Church, to teaching kindergarten at a Wilkes Elementary School for 6 weeks only. It was going to be a long year. A living legacy amongst us who is so very deserving of tonight's induction. We honor tonight Mr. Arthur Gerald Langford.
Gerald is friendly, has a big smile, and always makes you laugh. Gerald has been heavily involved in the community ever since he graduated from college. Served on the county commissioners. After that, he served on the Wilkes County Board of Education, where I had the privilege of working with him. And then just going on into the many community, civic and local organizations and institutions where he has served faithfully for over 50 years in this community.
I was unbelievably fortunate to be born to Gerald Langford. He's been an unbelievable father. He's contributed to his community. He served on countless boards and done so many things for the community, dedicated a long career to both Holly Farms and Tyson in an unbelievable way. And I'm just unbelievably fortunate to have been born his son.
We had a great family life growing up. We were taken to church, taken to our grandparents. Just a very, very blessed to have Gerald and Linda as my parents. Just a great, great man, always wanting to try to make other people better.
You know, all of us have those people in our lives who we say, I literally wouldn't be here if it weren't for this person. But for me, that quite literally is true about Gerald Langford. When I interviewed for the job at Wilkes Community College to be president there, one of the criteria was they wanted somebody with community college experience. Well, that was the one thing missing from my resume. Gerald Langford and talked to the group to say, you know, maybe we should at least talk to this guy. And so he took my application off the no pile and put it onto the maybe pile. And that, of course, led to me ending up in the position there at Wilkes Community College, which eventually led to me being here over the whole community college system.
My dad has an unbelievable heart. Served on the hospital board for 20-some years. He was on the Wilkes Community College Foundation for 20-some years. The Arts Council, I have no idea how many barbecue fundraisers, just so many different things that he never said no to anybody that wanted to do something within the community.
Gerald in high school had two superlatives, one the friendliest and one the wittiest, and that fits him to a T. Gerald has a servant's heart, has always been everybody's friend. He has made an impression in the lives of so many men, women, boys and girls. He has been devoted to that, spending a lot of time at the Wilkes hardware store sitting around the potbelly stove, telling stories, which he loves to do.
You can't really go anywhere where he doesn't speak to somebody. Anytime we're out all together, they're like, is there anybody he doesn't know? And there are people that I talk to on a daily basis that know him and love him. And it's very heartwarming to hear that.
Gerald, you're a dear friend, mentor. I'm so proud of you and happy for the community that they've selected you for this honor. They couldn't find a better Wilkes County representative to be part of this Hall of Fame.
Hello, Pop. I'm thrilled to say congratulations on getting inducted into the Wilkes County Hall of Fame. What a treat and an honor. Congratulations to you, my old friend, and I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the stage 1956 West Wilkes Mr. Witty and Mr. Friendly, Arthur Gerald Langford. Round of applause, please. If that pot-belly stove could tell stories of course, at the Lowe's hardware store, you know you would be part of history. You would get a chance to be able to see here how wonderful it is that we get a chance to be able to honor not only our colleagues, but also those of us that have been part of this process. We're going to be able to take a quick picture with our honoree and to be able to get into here. It's a group picture. I like it as well. It could be a selfie at this point in the game, just to be able to kind of put it to there as well. Would you please welcome your next inductee Hall of Fame, Mr. Arthur Gerald Langford, please.
I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for all my blessings. I have so many. I'm so humbled. As I walked through tonight, through the hall where all the other inductees in the past 10 years, I saw several people that had made an extensive difference in my life. My football coach at West Wilkes, Ray Triplett. My principal at Millers Creek, John Idle. My science teacher, Ed Lee Idle at Millers Creek and West Wilkes. And my good friend Pete Mann and Jim Swafford. On behalf of my wife Linda and my entire family, we humbly accept this award. I'm a little nervous, as you can see. Now let me say a word about Linda. This award should be twin awards, one for her and me together. She is the matriarch of our family. She is a great mother. She is a even greater Grammy. She is patient, loving, a good teacher, a good wife, and a remarkable Christian. Thank you so much, Linda, for putting up with me all of these years. I want to thank my mama and daddy. My mama and daddy was Ken and Ona Langford. We lived on Route 4, North Wilkesboro. My brother Burl, older brother, he taught me everything I know. His widow, Marlon, is here. She's part of our family, just like a sister. My two sisters, who took care of me when I was young, and they still take care of me now, Marcella Greer and Lucille Johnson. I want to thank mine and Linda's children, Arthur and Jennifer Mann Langford, Ted and Amy Lovett Langford, and Fran and Tim York. But here comes the good part. If you don't appreciate and realize how special grandchildren are, that just means you don't have any yet. And I've got 8. Linda and I've got 8 grandchildren. It wouldn't surprise me at least if one of them didn't become president of the United States. That's what I think of them. My grandchildren is Austin Langford, Julia Ruth Langford, Charlie Langford, Davis Langford, Linda Grace York, Gus Langford, Turner York, and Atticus York. I want to also thank my brother-in-law, Ted Hall. Ted's like a brother to me. He's Linda's brother. Him and Merlin Payne, they are here, and I thank you much for that. I also want to thank Amy Cox, and I also want to thank Marsh Lyle and Pat. Marsh and I went to school at West Wilkes and Millers Creek. We went on to Mars Hill, and we met up with Pat up there, and that became a long marriage for them. I want to tell you all one thing. If you don't remember anything else I've said, I want you to know that I love you very much, and I thank you very much. God bless you all.
If you are one of our family members that our friend Mr. Langford just shared, family members, would you rise? Would you rise? Round of applause for our family members, please. Thank you so very, very much for being part of the honoring here. We're going to be able to go to your next inductee. And of course, once you've got a different kind of a visual of here, I'm going to share with you a different kind of a still production. And I want you to be able to take a look at this because this is important for us to be able to understand. You carve your name on hearts, not on tombstones. The legacy is etched into the minds of others, and the stories they share about you. What would the stories be shared about you? What is the stories? When your story, or when your name is synonymous with service, when your name is synonymous with leadership by example, when you are the reason why others believe, support, and they share your vision, well, you know you're speaking of the legacy of Tommy Husky. More than an amazing athlete, more than a tireless advocate for supporting and leading business development in the region, more than a selfless volunteer with St. Paul's, the YMCA, and beyond. This philanthropist, this father and husband, truly has carved his names into the hearts of Wilkes County. Tonight, we honor the life and the legacy of our next inductee, Mr. Tommy Husky.
You mentioned Husky, and you know who we're talking about. You're talking about Tommy Husky. He's a good example for any of the young folks in the county to try to emulate. Tommy was a rising junior when I got to North Wilkes. My first year there, well, if God ever sent a new coach, somebody that could lead a team, it was Tommy Husky. He played quarterback. We had 19 players on the varsity. We were 0-9. I think everywhere we played away, we were homecoming because everybody needed a victory. We got absolutely thrashed every week. The next year, these guys came back, all 19 came back. I attribute that to Tommy Husky because they thought the world of him, and Tommy led by example, not only on the field, but in the classroom. North Wilkes is on the map because of football now, because of young men like Tommy Husky and some other guys on that team too. And I think Wilkes County is indebted to Tommy Husky in a lot of ways.
He was very approachable, very friendly, great sense of humor, and he had a smile and a contagious laugh and a twinkle in his eye that everyone loved. He was always involved, and Tommy would never say why. He had more of a why not attitude.
He had a strategic vision for Gardner Glass. In 1999, he was able to put together a management buyout of the company. The Gardner family had decided that, it was time for them to exit the business. And in all likelihood, the business would have gone to an investor or another company who may have reduced the number of jobs here or possibly even eliminated operations here in Wilkes County. But Tommy had a group of investors and employees and executed a management buyout. So I know he was very proud of being able to keep Gardner Glass in Wilkes County. One of the things he liked to do when folks would come in and visit, and I'm talking about executives from Fortune 500 companies like PPG Industries and places, his favorite place to take them to eat was his mom's house. He was very proud of his upbringing here in Wilkes County and just his community in general.
Tommy was one that adopted the fact that there's no right way to do something wrong. And I'm putting him up on a pedestal. I know I am, but I have a right to because I've seen it. I saw him in action.
Tommy embraced Wilkes County, and Wilkes County embraced him. He was a person who put God, family, country, career in the forefront of his life. And when you do that, everything falls into place.
People from Wilkes County came from humble beginnings or from a small town and had great success. And so I think that inspired him, and it would probably please him to think he might be an inspiration to others in future generations. I had the privilege of speaking at Tommy's funeral service, and what I talked about was how much he loved people. The way he cared about and loved other people fueled his desire not to just pour everything he had into his work and the people he loved there, but the people in the community that he grew up with his family, people he went to church with. So I think it was love that fueled his passion.
Tonight, we get a chance to honor another inductee into the 2025 Hall of Fame. Chose to be able to say, instead of why not, accepting for Tommy Husky. Would you please welcome to our stage tonight, Miss Allison Collins. Thank you so very, very much for being part of our presence here tonight. And once again, round of applause for Miss Allison Collins, please.
I would like to thank the committee for including Tommy in this year's class. I feel that it's so well deserved, and he would be humbled and honored by this recognition. About 3 weeks ago, I finalized what I was going to say tonight. I was determined I wasn't going to read a speech. I had everything memorized, and I was so proud of myself because I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. So 3 weeks ago, I'm ready. I'm ready for this until this past Monday, when I was going through some of Tommy's things to finish putting things in the display case. I ran across some letters. Some of the letters were written to Tommy when they found out about his cancer diagnosis. and some of the letters were written to me after he passed. And you know, I could stand up here all night and talk about what a great human being Tommy Husky was. But I thought that at this occasion, in this setting, that it might be a little bit more appropriate to talk about how other people felt about Tommy and the impact that he had on so many people's lives. So I am going to read a little bit after all, and I'm going to just read a couple of lines from some of those letters. The first one was a letter to me from someone that I worked with at the YMCA, and I hadn't seen this person for several years prior to getting this letter. And part of what he said was, "Please tell Tommy he's loved by everyone. His smile and gentle demeanor while our paths crossed always made me feel like a close friend. His personality is infectious to anyone around him." This letter was from one of his employees, and she wrote about a 4-page letter telling Tommy how he had influenced her life, not only as a mentor, but helped her become a better business person. So it was a long letter, but this is what really struck me. "One of the latest things you've done for me is push me to re-examine my relationship with God. When another mentor of mine went through an illness in her passing, I felt very confused and pessimistic about God's role in our lives. But to see His grace working through you has contributed to a swell of realization that has recently got me searching again. I am extremely grateful to you for this. So you're more than a boss or a leader to me. You are a mentor, a father figure, a friend, and an inspiration." This one was from the mother of one of Cole's friends. Tommy had invited him to join Cole's travel basketball team when they were about 9 or 10 years old, even though Tommy knew that this young man probably didn't have the athleticism or the ability that some of the other kids did, but he wanted to give him a chance. So the mother wrote, "When my son found out about Tommy's sickness, he said, 'Tommy has always been nice to me, always spoke to me when I saw him, and encouraged me. And that's more than I can say for any of my other coaches.'" This is from a former boss of Tommy's. "Tommy was an excellent employee. He did all that was expected of him and then some. In my years as a manager, I never have had an employee as focused and committed as Tommy." This was from another employee. "Tommy was a teacher. He taught us all through his words of wisdom and his actions. Tommy's words and actions always matched. No one ever spent time with Tommy that did not learn from him. I learned a lot from Tommy over the past 20-plus years. I learned how to handle adversity in life, how to put my priorities in order, and how to treat others with dignity and respect." And lastly, this was from another employee. "Tommy made each one of us better by the way he changed our lives, teaching us, mentoring us, loving us. I read somewhere that if you change one person's life for the better, you have made a difference. Tommy made such a difference. He touched and changed so many lives, and I'm thankful to have been one. And if you knew Tommy Husky, I know that he changed your life in some way also. Thank you."
What a wonderful way to honor. What a wonderful way to be able to capture the moment, and what a wonderful way to be able to have an evening that we're doing well. We're actually more than halfway through. We'll be done by 2 a.m., maybe 2:30 or so. Actually, we're doing wonderful, to the point that if we could one more time, lights on, please. Lights on. I've got one last question here for you as well. One more before we hear from our next inductee as well. And we've heard from, of course, our colleagues at our table. They're the people that we've enjoyed our time with. If you would please repeat after me again. Table. Table. I've enjoyed my time. To your champion, say champion. I've enjoyed my time. Please don't pick me for this one. It's too late. The champion is in charge. Here's what I'm going to look for right now. The question about this. I asked you about, at one point, the last time was about superlatives in high school and school. And I asked who's been part of a school as well, too. So I'm going to ask you now this here. If you've ever been part of a family, put your hand up, a family. If you're part of a family, all right, so we've got this all as well. My question for you is very simple this. I'm curious. You've heard the power of family in so many of our inductees and the honoring of them, even saying that we could make a twin award for that. I'm curious, in your family, and I'll let you determine what that is. Family isn't always blood, but in your family, what's a tradition? What's something that, if you were part of our family, this is what we do? Now, I'll share with you quite quickly, simply for us. I come from a family of, I am the oldest of 3 boys, and we were raised in a small rural community with 800 people and 1 blinking light in the town. And one of our traditions was wiffle ball. Whoever lost wiffle ball had to do the dishes, which meant early on, you better bring your best wiffle ball game because you didn't want to be able to do the dishes. I became a very, very good baseball player. What is one of your family traditions? Now, I'm curious, champion, you know how this works. This will be your last speaker of the evening, the one who you think is ready to drop the knowledge, the one that you think is waiting for the grand finale, the one that you have seen already who has avoided you every single time that you needed a question. Champion, it's up to you. What's a family tradition? You choose. 90 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Go, champion, go. Thirty seconds. And champion, you chose so well. A round of applause for our table, please. A round of applause. Thank you so very much. We can get ready with those lights down for our next one as well. I ask about the family, and I ask about here, because as we get ready for your next slide, I want you to be able to think about here. Before we bring our next one up, I'm going to be able to bring to you just this visual image to be able to kind of share with you. We're talking about families. We're talking about how we support. We're talking about mentors. And I want you to be able to think about that word, that powerful word of a mentor. Quite often we learn things along the way from the roots of who we are. Think about the tradition that maybe you just heard. It might have been humorous, might have been heartfelt. But the DNA of the family we grew up in, again, not always blood, shape us for each of our stages of life. This development becomes even more apparent when the family and its business is to a day-to-day element of the community around us. With the last name of Cook, you know not only the integrity and honor of this inductee, but also the commitment to Wilkes. Mark Beshears Cook not only carried on the family business, but grew Cook's Inc. to over 60 employees that serve over 300 schools and rec departments throughout Western North Carolina. And what a legacy of mentoring he shares, not just in the stores, but on the soccer field, in the church, on the Health Foundation's board of directors, in the business community, the arts community, and far beyond. Tonight, we honor a true friend, a coach, a colleague, a visionary, and a mentor to so many, Mr. Mark Beshears Cook.
My dad was at Cook's for 34 years and I've been there for 14, so combined 48 years of service with Cook's and the Cook's family. Been a lifelong friend, Mark. His work ethic is unstoppable. It's amazing to see what all he does, and he uses Cook's as a platform to reach out to the community.
Most likely, the very first thing people think of when they hear the name Mark Cook is Cook Sporting Goods. That has been a pillar of this community for a long time. He was in that business with his father before his father passed away, and I think that for a lot of folks, that's how they know Mark. Anytime I go to Cook's, I can ask for Mark, and if he's available, he'll have a conversation with me, and he treats everyone with that same amount of respect.
He's kind, a man of integrity. He loves his family. Family is extremely important to him. Mark's a mentor. He has always mentored his employees. He has mentored us when we were looking at buying our own business several years ago.
He is definitely a mentor. He treats his employees like family. He wants to see them succeed. He would love to keep them all probably for a lifetime, but he knows that if he can give them the right tools, that they're going to go on and do bigger and better things in the world. He wants to see success.
During the COVID years, we tried to help a lot of different businesses. We wanted to reach out, use our platform to help other people out in this county, and Mark was the ringleader of all that. You know, he was the one that was driving it. A lot of us were like, what are we doing? You know, why are we helping everybody else? We need to be helping ourselves. And then we just sat back and made some sense out of it. It was like, you know, this is okay. We're just not here for Cooks.
I've known Mark since 2012 when I started dating his oldest daughter, Karen. Karen was introduced me to the family for the first time. And it was funny because he was sitting in their kitchen with his laptop working with a cook's jacket on. And I mentioned it and he said, well, I work there. And to be honest with you, I was so nervous. I didn't even think about the last name being Cook or that his family could be the ones who actually owned it. Today I look back and realize that Mark was just being Mark, humble.
A lot of times he does these things with no recognition, which is exactly how he wants it to be. He will recognize a problem and be halfway to a solution before he mentions it to anybody. And once he starts on something like that, there is no stopping until it is accomplished. Spooktacular. That is his baby. I don't think people realize how much time that he gives for that event. That is solely for the benefit of the community, and I think that is something that really speaks to who he is as a person.
We virtually had 6 weeks to go before Halloween was to roll around, and he took the task on. I wish we had more people like Mark in our community.
Mark and the Cook family really answer the call. And what I mean by that is anytime there's a need and you go to Mark or anyone in his family and say, this is what I'm up against, his first question is, how can I help? A lot of us mean well and we might commit ourselves to something, but when Mark makes a commitment to you, he means to follow through with it.
He's just looking at the future, and there's just endless possibilities here, and he just keeps striving for the best for this community.
He wants to bring the best out in people, and it doesn't matter if it's in a sport, if it's in a school, if it's in the workplace, or just in life general. That's what Mark is really looking for in people.
This is going to be a great way to be able to welcome up our next inductee. I'm going to ask if you would please put your hands together if you have been a customer of Cook's at any time at all, and keep clapping if you would please. Please put your hands together if you have worked or engaged with Mark Beshears Cook at any time at all. Keep your hands going to there. And last but not least, put your hands together if you celebrate tonight our next inductee to the Hall of Fame, Mr. Mark Beshears Cook, please. Amazing what happens when family drives us, when we get a chance to be able to add and bring that next commitment in. Your inductee, to be able to kind of share his messages and his words, Mark Beshears Cook.
If I wasn't nervous enough, that's. I'm truly honored, and I've struggled with this quite a bit. And part of the reason I knew I'd be up here alone tonight, Gerald, I didn't know we could bring people up here with us, or I would have done that. But if I've earned this, and I still find that debatable, I haven't earned it alone. And throughout my life, I've been truly blessed to constantly be surrounded by truly amazing people that have been in my orbit for a time or a lifetime, or me theirs. And it's through those relationships and collaborations that anything's been accomplished. And more importantly, that there's been joy in anything that's been accomplished. And there's so many people that should be included in this. And I only have a little time to mention a few. And I've sort of based my thoughts around family, friends, work, community. So when I was 6 weeks old, I was adopted. And I've played the scenario over my head, God, a million times what my life could be like. And I've never come up with anything better than being adopted by James and Beverly Cook. To be brought into this warm, loving, supportive family with my grandparents, my aunt, my uncles, my cousins. And then on my 7th birthday, for my parents to find out that they could adopt another child who became my sister, Jamie. And then I believe long after my parents gave up hope, I found the love of my life, Lonnie. Lonnie, I do love and appreciate you more than I could ever put into words. And together we have 2 wonderful daughters, a son-in-law that we adore or tolerate, but we adore him. And we have a grandson and another one on the way. And I'm truly blessed. My family is my world. I'm grateful for you guys every day. I've been blessed in my life to have a few good friends, but none better than Richard Searcy, who was in the video. We went to kindergarten together some 20 or 30 odd years ago, and please don't do the math on that. We've grown up together, we've raised our families together, we've supported each other in our businesses, coached soccer together, used to work out together, and we need to revisit that. But we've been very fortunate to work on some committees and projects together in the church and the community, with Spectacular being one with many others. And Richard, I'm very grateful that you're in my life. I was truly blessed to be 3rd generation in our business. I got to work with my grandfather and my father. I'm grateful for that every day. When my father passed, I was surrounded by this amazing group of people that together we've continued to learn and grow our business. I'm thankful for you guys every day. Some people have been with us for a while, some a lifetime, like John and Philip, who are here tonight. John actually succeeded in retiring. Philip, not so much. He's only about a third of the way out, thank goodness. And Alan, who was in the video, Alan's our team manager and a big part of who we are. Like you mentioned, he's 2nd generation in our business. And it brings me great joy to have his son join us to be the 3rd generation of Reynolds to go on the journey with us. And I'm truly grateful for our Cooks family, for everyone, past and present. Thank you guys for being here tonight. You mean the world to me. You make it worth getting out of bed and coming to work every day. And for that, I'm truly grateful. I've been blessed in my life to be able to serve on some committees and some boards, some nonprofits. Health Foundation One, which is very well represented tonight, I believe. Another is Safe Spot Child Advocacy Center. I'm nervous and my mouth is getting dry here, but I'll try to get through this. Cindy, who is in the video, is the executive director of Safe Spot, and she and her team, among other things, do forensic interviews for children that have been physically or sexually abused, and to give them a safe place to tell their story where law enforcement or anybody else who needs to be involved can listen from another room, so the child can have a safe environment to share with Cindy probably what was, hopefully would be the most horrible thing that would ever happen in their lives. And Cindy and her team get to pursue justice and healing. And I'm so very grateful that in some very, very small way that I get to be a part of that. Cindy, you give your heart and soul to these kids, and I can't imagine the emotional toll. You really probably should be up here instead of me. But truly, everybody that's here with me tonight at my tables should be up here with me. You've all been a part of this, and for each of you, I am truly grateful. As I struggle with this, and we've talked about it at work, being in a sporting goods store, we've really talked about it being a team award. And that's truly how I see this, as a team award. Without the team, there's no work. Without the team, there is no honor tonight. More importantly, without the team, there's no joy. So truly, again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everybody who's been a part of my team, but also on behalf of my team, thank you for this award tonight. Thank you so much, Hall of Fame, for honoring us all in this way. Thank you.
Family is who folds their arms around you. Family is who folds their arms around you. And as we get a chance to be able to continue with our next inductees, I want to be able to bring another quick slide up for you as well. I want you to take a look here. Because if you're going to leave a legacy, make a mark in the world that can't be erased. If you think about the impacts, the writing, the imprinting that has occurred already, one thing that's universally true amongst all of us in this room is very simply 24. Please say the number 24. We all have 24 hours in the day. What do you do with it? What kind of mark do we make? One of our inductees' lives started in Sparta in 1930. The others started in Piney Creek in 1932. Now, one of these people, they were grew up on a dairy farm. The other one grew up on a beef cattle farm. And 20-ish or so plus years later, George asked Ida to go to a party. And their lives, and the region, and for that matter, the impact here has never been the same. The combination of these two philanthropists, philanthropy is when you give your time, your talent, or your treasures, when you give, when you pay it forward. From George's service with the Wilkes Chamber and Wilkes Health Foundation and a founding member of the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching, to Ida's decades of support with the YMCA that laid the groundwork for one of their most lasting legacies, the establishment of an endowment at Camp Haynes to provide Wilkes youth with an opportunity to experience residential camp. And let's take it further. An additional endowment to the Wilkes Family YMCA to offer swimming and safety courses. Constellations came together. Making a mark on the world that won't be erased, would you please welcome our next inductees, George and Ida Maud Collins, accepting on their behalf Miss Ida Maud Collins. And as Miss Collins comes to the stage, I want you to be able to think about the legacy and the impact, the ripple, if you will. The ripple of one element, an endowment, a giving, a sense of, when we do this, legacies over and over. I share that with you because remember, $32,000 has been raised, but that's an asterisk. We have an opportunity to be able to add to that tonight as you consider and see your Wilkes Hall of Fame members, how to be able to add to this resource that goes back into our schools. What a great way to be able to do that with our QR codes, with, of course, our ways to be able to contribute. You have an ambassador, you have a champion that will be very, very excited when you when you give that donation. They'll be so proud of you. But for right now, we are going to be able to bring up to our next Hall of Fame inductee members. We're getting those pictures for them, but I'm going to ask if you would, once again, would you please, you're going to be able to put your hands together for none other than Miss Ida Maud Collins.
such fun. Have I turned up the microphone? Probably.
I'll try it.
Thank you.
Is it on? Not on. There we go.
Okay. This is absolutely and totally a surprise. My children really know how to keep a secret. They asked me the first of the year, Mom, do you have anything planned for May the 22nd? And I said, I don't think so. At 92, my social schedule isn't really great. And they said, well, you do now. Thank you, Brian and Allison. I love both of you so much. I also want to thank those of you who were kind enough to write a letter of recommendation. Those of you who did the video, you looked real professional. And also each and every member of the committee for the Wilkes County Hall of Fame. These guys put in hours and hours of work. And I also want to thank God for my many, many blessings. This is so special. And it's even more special to me because my late son-in-law, Tommy Husky, was recognized and honored tonight. When George and I talk about family, we know that we've been blessed so many ways. George and I came to Wilkes County in February of 1959 as newlyweds. George went to work for the Northwestern Bank, and he was immediately involved in the community through the Wise Men's Club and the JCs, neither of which are in existence right now. And through the years, both of us tried to commit ourselves to supporting our community and Wilkes County whenever and however that we could. I treasure the friendships that I made and the people that I met when we were all working for one thing together. Maybe different projects, but we were all working for one goal, and that was the betterment of Wilkes County. Some days it was just pure hard work, but I just cherish every minute of it and being a part of it. And at the end of the day, hope we had made a difference. George was involved in a whole lot more than I was, statewide and countywide. If I had to pick one thing that I think might have been most meaningful to George, it was being a charter member of the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. The programs for those teachers are amazing. And I am just happy to know that some of our Wilkes County teachers have taken advantage of this. George was a people person. He was fun to be with. He would entertain you with his funny stories and took a great deal of joy in doing that. And he also had a great sense of humor. When George retired from the bank, they asked him what he would like to have in the way of a retirement gift, and he said he'd like to do something for the YMCA. I think most of you here will remember that the old YMCA had a great big parking lot to the left of the building. And then a lot of people parked down at the other end. It was close to the front door. There was just one problem with that. The YMCA didn't own that piece of property. So the bank bought the property and gave it to the YMCA in George's honor. And when all of that was put together, we had a nice luncheon at the YMCA with the board and with guests. A beautiful plaque was unveiled. And George was very pleased with it, and he thanked everybody graciously. And he said, "I'm the only person I've ever heard of that had a parking lot named for him." That's George. And thanks to Jenny Richardson, that same beautiful plaque is sitting in front of the Wilkes YMCA today. I am beyond honored that George and I could go into the YMCA, not the YMCA, but the Wilkes County Hall of Fame together. George loved Wilkes County, and so do I. I've called it home for 66 years. Thank you.
George and Ida Maud Collins brought humor and grace to every aspect of their lives. Together they were a force to be reckoned with because he could be sharp and analytical and ask all of the tough questions, and she could smooth that over with kindness and grace and come to a full picture of what we were really talking about in the community.
When I think about the Collins family, I think about the legacy in this community. Miss Ida Maud, she served on our YMCA board from 2015 to 2021. Mr. George served on the YMCA board and was involved with the YMCA from 1977 to 89. And even when they weren't on the board, they were very involved and very supportive. They've been very involved with the Y throughout, to today. Ms. Ida Maud, she may have been there this morning working out,
George and Ida Maud had a very strong faith. You didn't have to listen to George talk about his being a Christian. You could just follow what he did and how he acted, and the same with Ida Maud. They just showed their Christianity, and I think that's what made both of them such great human beings. During the Northwestern Bank days, one of the reasons it was a great place to work was because of George Collins and his leadership. George was always active in the community.
George served on the board of the Health Foundation, and so we spent a lot of time in boardroom figuring out what the next steps were and what we were going to do. George, he was again one of those folks who was just all in, ready to support a project. George was a champion for the kidney dialysis center in Wilkes County. We didn't have one, and people were traveling long distances for that care. In later life, he came to be a patient at the same center that he helped bring to this community. It seemed like a really special full circle moment that was not lost on him. Just an incredible testimony to his lasting ability to make a difference in the world.
I did not have the privilege of knowing Mr. George. I feel like I know him with some of the stories and some of the things that I've heard, but one of the things that I've heard is just what a servant that he was. He served in that role as banker, but then he went beyond. I mean, he went out into the communities and made a difference.
Ida Maud can encourage a whole generation of young people. Sometimes people are afraid to praise other people, but she always had an ability to hone in on something special and let you know that she saw it and she noticed it and she appreciated it.
The first time that I met Miss Ida Maud Collins was at Wilkes Family YMCA, and we were in the lobby. One of the things that I loved that I got to see that first day I met her was her energy, her passion for children. I mean, the children of Wilkes County are so important to her, and they're so blessed to have her. I mean, she's amazing. I work very closely with endowment giving, and one of the things that we've seen in the Collins family is just their investment in things that last and that continue to make a difference. Wilkes County is their home. They have been investing in Wilkes County, and our YMCA would not be the beacon of hope that it is today without the Collins family.
There are things in this community that we absolutely take for granted that wouldn't be here were it not for their leadership. What a wonderful combination they made. What a lovely couple.
Constellations coming together. Constellations. My friends, we have one more inductee we want to be able to share with you as we get to, of course, our honor of our services, and one more of your stills to be able to take a look at. Drew, thank you very much for navigating so well between our videos and our stills in between. But I want you to be able to take a look at this one, because if there's someone who knows about working for a cause, oh my goodness. Outstanding Young Woman of America. Outstanding Elementary Teacher of the Year. Recipient of the Order of the Longleaf Pine, once again, the highest honor of service bestowed to a civilian in North Carolina. Chairperson of CareNet Counseling of Wilkes. Past president of the Friends of Wilkes County Library. Chairperson for the graduate chapter of our sorority scholarship committee, and so much more. This is the story of a true giver. Someone that, since being the youngest of 8 children, has embodied the true meaning of a lifetime of education for all and service beyond herself. Work for a cause, not applause. But tonight, we share the well-earned applause for our next inductee, Miss Glenda Denny Adams.
Sister Adams is one of the ladies that people gravitate to. People really look forward to speaking with her. She's always having something to say and share her experiences and share, those helpful nuggets that mostly young people and older people need as they journey through this thing we call life.
When she went away to college and got her education, she saw a need to come back, knowing that there was a need and an opportunity for her to help the community that she lived in and to help the community that helped raise her to be able to grow and to thrive.
I met Glenda in 2011 when I started with CareNet Counseling, and she was part of our board of directors. And immediately I knew with Glenda that she was a serious person that got stuff done. She was just like, this is important, this is important, this is important, and really focused and passionate about the people she wanted to care for in the community.
I met her in my freshman year in high school, and we went to high school together, went to different colleges, then started dating after college. She's just an amazing woman. She works hard, loves to cook, makes great foods, great mother. Teaching children, underprivileged children. She loves that. Just her love to be able to help children, I think really sparked her in that direction.
Everybody around knows her. They see and just the impact that she's had on their life. It's a warm feeling for me as her son to be able to see that, because it knows that all of the things that she would discipline me through and to teach me is that she's using that with other kids that she had, and they're able to come back and reflect and thank her. It might have been tough for her, but it paid out in the end for them.
She's still passionate about education. Her work was with special ed, which is a whole different beast sometimes. You know that some people are not gifted for that, but she is very much gifted for those who need those special needs attended to.
She's been a part of CareNet for over 40 years. She has helped us go from a place where we had like a part-time counselor staff person to we have 10 now. And over the last decade, we've gone from like 2.5 clinicians to 10 clinicians. She's impacted a lot of people that she doesn't even know. I was trying to figure out if I could remember all the stuff that she told me that she has done, and it's not possible. I have truthfully never heard anybody say a cross word about her. She is deeply respected and deeply loved, and I think it's because of her commitment to the county.
And she says, you know, this shows her age. When I see my students now, see, that really shows my age, but she loves it. Well, from the way they see her after they graduate from high school or they're out in the world, they always run to her and tell her what great jobs that she has done with them and how she got them on the right road, and just amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring up our final inductee of the evening, somebody who gets stuff done. Would you please welcome to the stage Miss Glenda Adams. You heard in that video the gifted element that it takes to be able to do this work. And we think about from education, as we get a picture with Miss Adams, that education is not the filling of a pail or a bucket, but education is a lighting of a fire. And this person has lit the fire. Please, once again, Miss Glenda Adams.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is indeed an honor for me to stand in this position this evening. I could not have done it without all of the people surrounding me, giving me their support. But first of all, I must tell you that I must give honor to the one who placed me in Wilkes County with a chosen family. He is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and God the Father. I was selected to be born into the gracious family of James and Virginia Denny, my parents, who taught me that nothing will be obtained without hard work. And to do that hard work, you must be willing and diligently working at that task. So I want to thank those who have supported me. Thank you, Diane Swain, my friend and co-worker, for thinking of me of being worthy of this award. My most gracious thanks and gratitude to the Hall of Fame committee for their consideration of me. And my supporting family, my husband, James, our children, Lamont, his wife, Zara, and their children, our grandchildren, James and Mia. Our son, Ian, his wife, Bridget, and their son, Bailey, who have always been there for me in all of the endeavors that I have attempted, because without the support and the village around me, I definitely could not have done all of what everybody says I have done. As far as I can remember, I have always wanted to be a teacher since I was a small child growing up in the neighborhood of the Woodlawn community. My teachers through elementary school at Woodlawn Elementary School and high school at Lincoln Heights were my mentors because they showed they cared and they wanted all of the students to be the best that they could be. I wanted to share that joy of learning with others, and a scholarship to Livingstone College began my educational journey. I wanted people to feel the exhilaration that I felt when I read a piece and I learned a new line, and when I found out new knowledge. I wanted people to feel, and a lot of people do not feel the way I do about Macbeth. When we study Macbeth, I want them to feel the exhilaration of what the writings of Shakespeare could do and what it has done and lasted all these years. The acquiring of new knowledge was one of the things that I wanted everybody to experience, and the confirmation of what I thought I knew. As a teacher, I can tell you that there are no words no words that can adequately convey the inner feeling of exhilaration you see when a student is reading for the very first time a sentence very fluently, without an error and without stumbling. And these are students with learning challenges. Teaching has brought me great joy and has allowed me to share the areas of teaching outside of the traditional classroom. I am still enthralled after all of these years of teaching. Excitement when I see young people and people of mature ages exhilarate when they read a passage for the first time. It doesn't matter if the reader is 8 or 80, but that exhilaration and that warm feeling to know that I had some part in that. Again, I am honored and appreciative to be in such a prestigious group who have been honored before me, and I thank you, and let's all continue the love of teaching because learning never stops. Thank you.
Spark, remember? Not filling the pail, sparking a fire as well, too. Can you sense this? Once again, round of applause for Miss Adams. Round of applause for all of our 8 inductees that we've had. Now, before we come to a close tonight, we've got one more presentation to be able to share with you, and I'd like to be able to bring to you, again, once again, another person who is a spark in our community, the president of the Wilkes County Hall of Fame Committee. This is Miss Shana Williams. Round of applause, please.
Good evening. Oh, it's my microphone here. If all else fails, I'll just hold it. Tonight, we will present the 4th Annual Wilkes County Hall of Fame Legacy Award. The Wilkes County Hall of Fame Legacy Award was created to recognize those who have made a significant impact on the great state of Wilkes through exemplifying inspiration, service, and dedication to our community. Let's watch a brief video spotlighting this year's recipient.
Dear Wilkes County, thank you. Thank you for keeping the faith, for believing in what seemed like the impossible. I can still remember that first day in 47. What a day. When those cars took the checkers, I couldn't have been more proud to be your track. A lot of names were made here. Benny, Junior, they were legendary. I can't lie. We had some tough times, too. There were times I wasn't sure if I'd ever hear those engines rumble or the roar of a crowd in these hills ever again. But you stood by me. You fought for me. You saved me. Now when those big boys roll into town to put on a show on this old asphalt, take pride. You did that. We're back. And I'm proud to call Wilkes County home.
Tonight, we celebrate not just a racetrack's revival, but a community's resurgence. The story of North Wilkesboro Speedway isn't merely a comeback, it's a testament to the enduring power of hope and collaboration. While many believed its glory days were confined to the mid-20th century, the roar of engines returned in 2023, louder and more resonant than ever. The NASCAR All-Star Race, held this year for the 3rd time at the revitalized Speedway, drew a full-capacity crowd of 25,000 spectators from across 43 states and 9 countries, a powerful symbol of its renewed national and international prominence. But the impact of North Wilkesboro Speedway extends far beyond the checkered flag. The Speedway Children's Charities have become a cornerstone of support for our community, distributing over $319,000 to 14 local organizations dedicated to assisting children in need this past December. The generosity extends beyond the monetary contributions. Their tireless efforts in providing aid and supplies to those affected by Hurricane Helene in the High Country showcase their deep commitment to service and compassion. This dedication to our community extends to our schools. With North Wilkesboro Speedway's 2nd consecutive year as tonight's event sponsor, serving as a powerful testament to their unwavering support of Wilkes County students. Please help me welcome to the stage the Executive Director of the North Wilkesboro Speedway and his team, Mr. Greg Hoffman, a gentleman who has been instrumental in not only getting the Speedway back up and running, but who supports our community wholeheartedly. Please give him a warm welcome. So I'll make this announcement on their way here, so when they get here, he can just come on over. But on behalf of the Wilkes County Hall of Fame Board, it is my honor to present the Legacy Award to North Wilkesboro Speedway. This award celebrates not only a racing legend's rebirth, but also a community partner whose impact resonates deeply within the hearts of our citizens. So guys, congratulations.
What timing for this this award, right? Just all I can say is wow. This last weekend, sold out race event. Who would have thought that track, where it was sitting for almost 30 years, created the excitement, the buzz, all across the racing industry. You had the winning driver, Christopher Bell, get out of the car on the start-finish line and say that North Wilkesboro Speedway was the best short track on the schedule. That's some mighty fine company right there to keep. So it's nothing short of a miracle what has gone on there. And truly God's blessings have worked throughout this entire process. God's timing is divine. This has not happened by accident. There are so many people that could accept this award. I came into this project in 2021. The sparks, the embers had been lit well before that. People like Terry Parsons, Ronald standing there to our left. So many people from a local, state, regional, even national level that came together, all working together, pulling on the rope at the same time, and those stars aligned in this 3 or 4 year span to just have, again, that magical moment that just happened here just last weekend. So I wanted to thank the Hall of Fame for this award in recognition of everything that's gone on there in a short amount of time. But I did, while I'm the one up here speaking, I did want to thank this team right here. They're in the grind every day. I work for Speedway Motorsports in Bristol, while I also work on the Wilkesboro project. That's soon to change. More to come later. But Ronald, Dina, and Butch. Ronald, you've been there. Your passion, your dedication to that place, we would not be where we are without everything you've poured into that. Dina, you came on board revival year. I said, we needed a volunteer army. Who coordinates the volunteers for the region's big events? And I was quickly told Dina, and Dina jumped on board and fit in so well with everything we do. And then you have Butch. Butch has been at the racetrack doing various things since 1984. Butch is still with us on a daily basis over there. So that's the team. They're the ones that need to be accepting this award. I'm just so thankful, honored, humbled to be up here accepting this on behalf of our company, on the Speedway, and the community. So I have that honor and privilege. So thank you. When you talk about this team, again, not only the races, but what they were thrust into and the response coming out of Hurricane Helene and the operation that was put in place. All those supplies came from all of North Carolina into North Wilkesboro Speedway and served as a distribution point. And those three right there spearheaded that effort with a lot of state and local help and support. But that team right there were the ringleaders to make that happen, and the impact that we made in the fallout after Hurricane Helene. So thank you guys so much. Time, energy, effort, dedication, unmatched. Thank you very much. So as I look back in 2021, this is where I came into the picture here. I've always been, I've loved history, I've loved sports history. I would always drive by the racetrack on my way to Charlotte, and I would just say, gosh, could we get that place back? And if we could, what could ever happen? I heard a lot of rumblings within our company about that time frame of possibilities and potential races. I reached out to Jessica Fickenshire, who has led the All-Star projects the previous 2 years. And I said, Jess, I want to just go. I want to take a tour. Can you link me up with somebody there? Ronald had had a niece graduation that day. He came, and we couldn't have hit it off any better. He gave me the full Ronald Queen tour. And really set the stage for where we are today, and really ignited my passion into North Wilkesboro Speedway. But it was that day, Ronald, and literally that was 2021, and look where we are today, bud. Thank you so much. About that same time, again, Terry Parsons, she is just throwing gas on that spark, on that fire. Everything working behind the scenes in the forefront to again spearhead that project. We partnered in 2022 with a promoter. Lo and behold, we had racing again back at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And how poetic is it that was called Racetrack Revival? Again, you want to talk about God's timing being divine. All those things that he's been magically putting in place behind the scenes with a little bit of perspective that you can now realize that the little breadcrumbs that he was dropping this entire time. So I always loved how that was called Racetrack Revival. Got the place safe, opened up, and we had racing. Had racing back at North Wilkesboro Speedway after almost 30 years. Whole month of racing. That first modified race, incredible turnout. Packed the front stretch grandstands. Had a few other races that were gaining momentum through that week or through that month of August, and then the granddaddy of them all, Dale Jr., the Cars Tour. That's where truly the magic happened that night. Marcus Smith, our chairman of Speedway Motorsports, Dale Jr. Really, that event when we packed it out, really proved what that facility could be, what the future of that facility could be. We were getting ready to go into that renovation, and that success of that night put us again to where we are today. So Marcus, Dale Jr., the industry, lo and behold, God's timing. It's NASCAR's 75th anniversary. What's one of the very first racetracks on the schedule? Where did the roots of the sport start? No less than North Wilkesboro Speedway. Again, the connections, the timing could not be more divine. So go into that first All-Star race. We're having to do the complete restoration, which we expected to be about a year and a half. Well, again, with our team, Steve Swift, some construction folks, miracles can happen. And a year and a half renovation got done in a little over 6 months. Hosted the NASCAR All-Star race in 2023. Packed it out, sold out, momentum. Let's do it again. Again, well attended, well supported. And then year 3 this past weekend, sold out grandstands. And I truly feel like year 3 we were hitting our stride. The first 2 years were great, awesome. But I truly felt like we took 4 or 5 steps forward this past event from an operations logistics standpoint. And wow, the racing on the track was phenomenal. That track's now has some age coming to it after that repave after the first year. And that's the magic sauce. You know, we can do everything that we can as a racetrack and as a promoter to get fans there, but if the racing action doesn't deliver, you know, you go home with a little bit of, well, that was cool, but, you know, I wish this would have happened, or Joey Logano or Kyle Larson ran away with it. Well, the secret sauce happened. It all came together this past race and set the stage for our future. So while we're at it, don't forget to renew your tickets, please. I'll bring us to a close here. What really excites me, again, not only I'm a promoter at heart, so not only what we have going on, but it's the impact that we can make in the community because of our success. Shayna mentioned Speedway Children's Charities, and that was $314,000 just for last year. So when you look at a 3-year total, it's about $570,000 that we've been able to contribute to children's-based charities, all staying, again, right here in the Wilkes County area. So proud. So proud of what we can do to give back to the community, because that's what it's all about. You know, we love to host, we love to entertain, we love to have folks come through our gates and have fun, make those memories, recreate old memories with a new generation of race fans. But nothing we enjoy more than to be able to give back. So through Speedway Children's Charities, again, as I said with the racing side, I feel like we're just scratching the surface of that. So look forward to many years serving the community through Speedway Children's Charities. In closing, I just wanted to thank the Wilkes County Hall of Fame again for this honor. It is truly a miracle. It is a miracle where we are today. So just wanted to close by saying God bless you all. Thank you again.
Once again, how about a round of applause for our main event sponsors, North Wilkesboro Speedway. And how about one more time for all the rest of our sponsors tonight that really helped make this happen as well. Okay. What an evening, what a wonderful time, what a wonderful table. And actually, we're going to be able to turn those lights one time on here because we are about 90 seconds away from finishing up here. But your table did a fantastic job here. You were wonderful in supporting them. And would you please, your champion was actually exceptional tonight. Wouldn't you give them a round of applause to that champion? Yes. As we celebrate service, as we celebrate those 24 hours, remember that we live that legacy. You pay it forward. And before we leave here tonight, let's make sure our table knows one more thing here. Would you please turn to your table, say table. Table. Say table. Table. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. It's been fun. It's been real fun. But it's time to go. Now, before you do this, would you please, to your champion, say, champion? You are the winner tonight. And how about a high five or shake hands with your champion? Thank you very much for being with us here tonight. Thank you so very, very much.